Hello, my name is Todd Miner, and I'm going to show you how to get set up with Apptivo. Today in our video, what we'll be covering is how to go sign up for a brand new account, what steps you want to take first as far as selecting the applications you're going to use, how you get all of your employees in there, and then we're going to take a tour through the interface. I'll show you some common features and some cool tools that you can use throughout Apptivo that's going to help you manage your business better. Now, before we get started, I would like to show you guys the Get Started page on the Apptivo website. Keep in mind at any time if you get lost or if you ever need help, we've tried to make the process as simple as possible. So we're going to be going through a couple of these steps here, but just keep in mind we have the general setup steps for our business, and then depending on the apps that you are going to use for your business, you'll need to go through some additional steps to go get those apps configured. So with that said, let's begin. Now the first step of sign up is to provide some personal information. Keep in mind your personal information is stored differently from your main firm, meaning you're going to be able to take a business and add additional personal accounts to it. And this would be for your employees or other customers or something that you need to log in. So I'll provide my email and password here, and it'll go ahead and generate our account for us. And after a moment, it's going to come back, and now it's going to ask for the business name. So for this example, let's say Todd's Surf Company, because I want to sell some surfboards. And I'll select my time zone right there and continue. Now, here's one of the most important decisions you'll make. Now, keep in mind you can change this at any time, but we need to select the apps that we're going to be using. Now, depending on what you need out of Apptivo, we might want to select simple projects if we need to manage project management. Or maybe if we just need to invoice our customers, we'll select this bundle. But let's say we're ready to dig right in and we want to get completely set up with a full-blown CRM system. Then I can grab the CRM bundle. For this example, let's just go ahead and grab CRM and get set up, since that's one of the most common bundles that we have. So, once I select that bundle, what's going to happen is it's going to pre-select all those different apps for me and give me everything I need to run the CRM apps. And now that I've been logged in, let me run you through a couple of these main features. So, across the top of the page, the first thing you're going to see up here is this list of applications. Now, this is your personalized app dashboard. What that means is you as a personal user with your email address can customize that apps appear in this list. So depending on your role in the company, whether you're a salesperson or whether you're the accountant for the company, you're going to need access to different apps. So you're able to go through and we can add or remove any apps from here using the App Store. So as I mentioned before how we can change those bundles, that's also done through the App Store. And what this is it's a listing of every app we have available in Apptivo, and it gives you the ability to either add them or remove them from that dashboard. Now keep in mind it's not adding or removing from the entire business. This is just for your personal account. So each different user can have their own app dashboard without affecting each other. So you can see, for example, all the CRM apps have already been added, but none of the project management apps have been added. So if I wanted to see projects and timesheets, I click add on those apps, and when I go back to my home page, I'm now going to see that those are available in my main list right here. So, now that you know about the app dashboard, which is the most important piece, let's cover something a little bit simpler for you. So you'll see over here we've got this lonely spot with these two buildings, and this is where we can upload our business logo. So I can go click on this button, and it's going to give me the ability to surf around my computer, and I can go grab some sort of photo to use. So let me just go grab like a screenshot I have, and we'll upload that as my logo. You can see real quick, it'll all be done, and then we can go ahead and cancel this window, and it'll appear in just a moment. So, the next thing that you're going to want to see is not quite visible yet, but you'll see it come to fruition after we work in Apptivo a little bit. But it's this area right here, which is the news feed. Now, the news feed for your business gives you the ability to see all the different updates coming in from everywhere throughout your business. And here's an example of what your news feed might look like once you have a little bit of activity in there. Now, you can see how this will be highly useful. The reason being is, as a manager, you're able to just sit here and look at everything going on in your business from that high level. And if you want to, we can even drill down and filter by specific areas. So let's say you want to see how a specific employee is performing. We can filter this newsfeed by certain people and see what they've been doing in the business. We can also filter by apps, by certain types of customers, just about anything. So this is a very, very powerful tool. And on the flip side, what we have is this Activities tab right here. And what this is it's an aggregated task management system. Meaning each one of these individual apps, they are going to have their own tasks, their own appointments, their own call logs, things like that. because the way Apptivo tries to handle this is to keep everything highly organized, where every app has its own purpose and its own data. But we want that data to all be integrated, and you want to be able to cross-prioritize all the different tasks in the system. So what this does is it gives you the ability to get a list of every task just based on when it's due, meaning regardless of whether it's from a sales activity, an accounting activity, a project management activity, anything like that, you're going to be able to understand what you personally need to be working on at that time and moment. And just to clarify, this is a personalized list, so every employee gets their own list, but if I want to as a manager, I can also search all the activities in the firm and see what everybody is doing. So very, very useful. And the last major component is over here in the right column. So we'll get back to our brand new firm. And right here, what you'll have is two types of links. One is the quick links, which are just common activities, such as managing new employees, which we'll do in just a moment. And then you're also going to get relevant help information. So if you ever get stuck, just look in this help link section right here, and it's going to give you links to guides that'll assist you. And these are they're going to change based on the app that we go to. So that's kind of the basic tour of the interface. The last little things I want to show you are if you ever have problems, just click this button and you can chat directly with us for support. And also up here, if you want to change personal account settings such as your time zone or your email address or your password, it's in the preferences. The business settings controls high-level things for your entire business, which we're actually going to run to in just a moment, but like your contact information or Google Apps integration. Then we have change plan if you ever choose to upgrade to the paid plan. And this background jobs thing, this is actually for pending uploads, which we won't cover in this video, but just keep that in mind for later. So, we've done a quick tour of the interface. We understand how to control our app dashboard. We need to start using some apps. So the one last step before we start actually going into an app is we want to do a little bit of basic setup for our business. And specifically, this is going to come in really handy when we want to set up our invoices or anything like that where we might want to print our company address or contact information. So I'm going to click my name in the upper right hand corner and go to Business Settings. Now, from Business Settings, the important things you want to do right now are confirming that your company name looks okay, meaning is this what you want to see on your invoices, and then fill in all of your contact information. So this will automatically get used in all the different applications. So for example, if I'm sending an estimate or if I'm sending a work order to my customer, it's going to automatically print my business information into that work order, and I can just have it fed from here. So if you update it in one spot, every future work order that comes out is going to have the proper information. Okay, so we can go ahead and save that information, and we'll see this little pop-up message. And you'll notice these, that's a common feature throughout Apptivo, is you're always going to get notified of when changes happen. So, we've got everything set up, and really it's time to start getting in there and using our apps. So the one app that nearly every business is going to need to use is the Employees app. And for you consultants and one-man shows out there, this doesn't quite apply. But for anybody who needs to have other employees log into Apptivo, you need to use the Employees app. Now the Employees app has a dual purpose. First, it's a human resources management tool, meaning it's a simple employee database that allows you to store information like social security numbers, payroll-related info, things like that for every employee. But it also acts as the user access control for Apptivo. So when I create a new employee, we're going to get their basic information here, like their name, their email, and all that. But we're also going to see this enable Apptivo access. And what that means is when I create this employee, if this checkbox is checked, it's actually going to send an email to them and give them a password to log into Apptivo. And the other important part that I need to handle when giving them access is granting them security roles for certain areas. So by default, users not going to be able to access anything. So they'll get a password, they'll log in, but every app's going to show access denied. They won't be able to see anything. So we need to grant them access to see any of the apps or any of the data in these apps. So there's a bunch of different apps available here by default, but let's slim it down here. So we had CRM, and we just want to grab some roles related to customers, or we could pick any app here. But let's just say this is going to be a salesperson, meaning they're going to have basic access to the leads, the opportunities, the contacts app, things like that. And if you have another administrator who's going to be able to do everything in all the apps, you're going to want to give them the super user role. So for any co-owners or anything like that, they're going to get the super user role. So once we save it, we've got this information. The only required field is going to be the email. So let's just say this is Kenny Clark. His email is Ken Clark. There we go. And one field that you might want to use, depending on exactly what apps you're going to use, is this manager field. And the reason this is important is because it's related to security. What this means is when you're a manager of another employee, you're going to have the security access to view anything that they can view. So for example, in the leads application, if you have it set up where a lead is only visible to a single employee, it's only going to be visible to that employee who it's assigned to and to any administrators of the firm. But it'll also be visible to any of those employees' managers, or any of those employees' managers, or so on all the way up the hierarchy. So if you do want to have that kind of hierarchical permission structure, then you want to use this manager field. So for right here, I can select myself, which is Todd, and I should pop up there and be able to grab myself. I could also use the search tool. And there we go. Okay, so once I'm all set, I would hit create, and it's going to send an email to that address right now. And we'd be all set. So now this employee could log in, they could go access everything, and what would happen is when they go to the App Store, when they try to look at, for example, the Invoices app, they're going to see access denied. Versus when they try to look at some of the sales apps, which we gave them access to, they'll be able to add them and use them without problem. So you would go through and you'd import all of your employees like that, and you get everybody set up properly. And that's kind of the first major step, is get everybody into the system. Now, once you've done that, it really starts to deviate based on your needs in the software. So for right now, I'm going to kind of run through one of the most common needs of everybody. Is nearly every business manages like their customer and their business contact information in Apptivo, even if they don't manage all their different business operations with Apptivo. Because the customers app is kind of it's a core app that links together with all the others to help manage everything. So for example, even the project management software links together with the customers app, so you're able to relate projects to a specific customer. So before we dive in and start importing your data, so maybe you have it stored in spreadsheets somewhere, or maybe it's already stored in Google or Outlook, something along those lines, we want to figure out exactly how this data is going to go into Apptivo. So an important distinction to keep in mind is a contact from the Contacts app is an individual person. So if you're working with a customer named Glocal Tech, then you're working with Kenny Clark over at Glocal Tech. Kenny Clark is a contact. Customers in the Customers app is a business entity, or the customer account that you have. So Glocal Tech would be the customer. And what you do is you actually link the contact to the customer, which I'll show you in just a moment. Now, the leads and the opportunities are prospective sales opportunities. So a lead is like an unqualified sales lead that you barely know of. It's basically just a name and a number. Versus an opportunity is a qualified sales lead which you're actively pursuing and has a likely opportunity of actually turning into a won deal for the company. And beyond that, you do have the work orders and the estimates, which you can convert from an opportunity. But those are more for specific CRM setups, so we won't get into that right now. Let's get started off, and let's just kind of show you what I was talking about with the association of a customer to a contact to a lead. So let's start off creating a customer. Now, one important thing about Apptivo is we have all these different apps, but they're all highly integrated and they're all highly consistent. Meaning, once you go in and you look at one app, you're going to notice that there's common features that are available in all the different apps to really help make it simple for you to kind of learn the entire platform and get used to using all these different tools. So, let me give you a quick tour of this interface. What we'll notice is when we first log into customers, we're going to get this little splash screen right here. And it's basically saying you don't have any customers yet. The app is brand new. And there's two things you can do from here. One is you can create our first customer, just dive in and start generating these customer records. Or if we want to, we can customize the app. Now, Apptivo is highly customizable. Every single app can be configured and tweaked to change the settings to how you need. So for a beginner user, it might be a good idea to get started and just create a first customer. Look at all the different fields available. See if this actually fits your need. Because what you'll notice is when you're going through here filling everything out, there's certain drop-downs like category, which don't have values yet. Or if we go through here like industry, maybe these values, they don't quite fit your business. Now, don't worry, because every single one of these values can actually be customized and set up specifically for how you manage customers in your firm. This is just kind of a generic way that we've set up that kind of works for most businesses as best as possible. But the idea is that you start off with what we give you by default, and you take it and you customize it and tweak it so it works perfectly for your processes. So, for example, let's look at that customer category. We're going to exit out of here, and we're going to go to the settings, which you're going to notice there's always this blue button here in the upper right-hand corner for configure. So if we click on this, we'll actually see there's customer categories right here. We can click on categories, we'll notice there's none found, and if we wanted to make one, we just go like that. We can hit residential, and maybe we want to create one for commercial as well. And done. So those are all set up, and we can now go select those. And you'll see the same thing happens for my markets, for my market segments, for my sales territories, all of that. And in addition to that, there's actually one further step, which is very, very cool. So even if we don't have any fields that work and you need to log something else that just isn't supported by Apptivo at all, you have the ability to define custom attributes. And what this is I can create a section of fields on this customer that is going to only be available in my firm, but every single employee who creates a customer is going to be able to see. So let's say, for example, I had a section, and we're going to call these, let's say I'm a software company, and I need certain like contract details for every customer that I have. So I could create that section, and let's say one text field is just the contract contact, who I'm dealing with for that contract. And let's say I just want a radio button to indicate whether the contract is signed or not yet. Go like that, and then I can even just customize these little values right here. So I can have like one little radio button for yes, then I can click the next one and make the next one no. And I could also do our checkboxes. I can add a drop down if I want. So let's throw a drop down in there. And let's just say contract type. And I can add values. So one contract type might be yearly recurring. And maybe one contract type is like one time. Something like that. And we'll see as I add those, they pop up right there. So then when I hit update, now if I go create a new customer, we're going to see those new fields available right there. So it gives us the ability to really extend the application and make it unique for our business. So there we go. Okay, so one other common feature that you're going to see is search capabilities. So once we actually start getting some data in here, you can do your keyword-based searches. But there's one thing which you might not notice about this search feature, which is the built-in reporting. So I can actually set up advanced searches like this. I'll be able to search and generate a report based on that search, which I'm going to have to create a customer right here, but we'll show you in just a moment. So let's create a basic customer record. So this customer is Glycex Corporation. My customer number 1, info Glycex, something like that. Fill in all the information you have about them. I could go through, select everything. We'll grab those customer categories that we just put in there, and we'll hit create. So now we have this, and we got to complete this customer data. So we've talked about their business entity, but as we discussed before, we need to get the actual individual person into Apptivo. So that's down here in these related objects tables. So we can see they're all empty right now, but I have the ability to set up all the different contacts that I have with this customer. So I could either search my existing contact database, click on this add button, which I don't have any right now, or I can create a brand new contact from this page. So, like we were talking about, Kenny Clark, he's our contact over at this company, and let's just say he's the chief marketing officer. I could select my category for him, provide his email, all that, and you'll notice this field right here is pre-populated. And what this means is it's linked to that customer record. So that's what this little icon here indicates, is that it's linked to another app. So that's linked to an employee, that's linked to a supplier, this is linked to a customer. And what that means is when I create this contact, we're going to get a link to Glycex Corporation. So I can click from the individual person and navigate over to the business and see all the details about the business. But from the business, I'm going to be able to see all the different contacts, click them, and view details about them. So that's the integration I was talking about, where all these different apps, they kind of plug together to all build the source of information that you need. But all the information gets stored at the correct locations, kind of in a highly organized modular fashion. And it makes it just really, really easy to reuse, and it really cuts down on the amount of duplicate effort, as well as the amount of errors that are possible when dealing with all this information. So we could go through, we could add up all of our linked up contacts, linked up leads, opportunities, everything like that. And we're going to have this one central source of all information for the customer, which is great. So let me show you some other features of the customer. What we notice on this main page is all the kind of details that are unique to this specific customer, but it's all just kind of information about the customer. And then at the bottom of the page, we had related objects to the customer. So these buttons up across the top of the page, or these tabs, are the features of a customer. So for example, we have a loyalty management system where you can set up certain programs where like every $5,000 in sales, you give them a $200 credit, something along those lines. And you can manage their loyalty program and their progress towards each one of the goals here. We also have a news feed, which is just like that home page, but it's filtered for this customer. So we can see every activity that's ever happened to this customer. It's a complete history of this specific customer. It allows you to kind of easily get an update of what's been going on, who's been doing what, and when they've been doing it. Beyond that, we have our activities tab. So we were talking about earlier how this is the aggregated task list for everything. Let's say if I spoke to the customer yesterday, I can write down a call log. Let's just say spoke about their needs. And then I can write down the summary of what we spoke about. And I'll be able to select who called who and how long it lasted for, when it occurred, all that. And beyond that, I have this ability to associate it to other objects. So that integration thing again is popping up. What we see is, what is this call to associate it with? It's automatically linked up to the customer because we created this activity from the customer. But let's say I also want this to show up on when I look at the contact for Kenny Clark, because maybe I'm looking at the contact all the time and I just want to make sure that I do see this data properly. Then I can scroll through here, I can look for contacts, and I'll be able to select Kenny Clark. And now it associates them to both. Meaning, if I look at the customer, I'm going to see this in the Activities tab. Or, if I went to the contact, I will also see it in the Activities tab for that contact. But if I make an edit anywhere, it updates in both places because it's the same exact data. Which, it's really just the key part of Apptivo is using this association across objects to get the detailed reports, get the information all grouped into the locations that you need, but not have to repeat the effort of inputting this information into the system. So we go through here, some other common tasks you might want to have is like an actual task. So like, let's say I need to write up the contract for Glycex. Now, I mean, one common thing is I'm not going to be creating this task for myself. So if I'm a manager, maybe I'm writing this up to assign to Kenny because Kenny needs to do it. So I can select him here, add him to the task, and then when I hit create, it's going to shoot him an email to notify him the new activity has been created, and then it's going to appear in his homepage activities list so he knows that he needs to complete this task. So, in addition to all the activities, we also have notes. Now, notes are exactly what it sounds like. It's just the ability to write down freehand notes. So let's say our primary contact is no longer Kenny. Something along those lines. We pop it up here, and then it's instantly visible to all of our other employees who have access to this customer. And the last feature, another very straightforward one, is documents. So what we're going to see is on every single object in Apptivo, we have these three core features: the notes, activities, documents, and also the news feed. And basically they work exactly the same in every single app, and they all just serve their one specific purpose. So we already covered the others, and documents is very simple. It's just if I actually had a copy of that contract, I could go scroll through here, I could grab a file, and I can upload it directly to this customer. Of course, if I'm uploading a file that works properly, then that would occur, right? But if I was uploading like a PDF or something, that would be working fine. So that, in a nutshell, is one of our apps. That was a customer specifically, but what we're going to see is, let's run to opportunities, for example, and I want to show you how similar the apps truly are. Okay, so I'll go and continue into the app here. So right away, we can see the similarities. The same exact table format, we have configure, we have notifications right here, and we have our reports up there, we have create opportunity. And it's going to work exactly the same in every single one. So let's create a brand new opportunity and I'll show you the details. So this is that 10-man network setup that we were talking about. And then we're going to, let's link it back to that customer that we just created. So we'll do search for Glysex. We could create a brand new customer right here. And we'll say when it closes and hit create. So we have our new opportunity, and right away you should see the similarities. We have all the details, like the fields for this object right here, and then we have all the different features for this object available up at the top of the screen. And once again, you got the common notes, activities, documents, news feed. They're going to be available in every single app. So the last couple things I want to touch up on before we wrap up are a couple of these features that I kind of glazed over. So we're going to head back to the Customers app. Now, the two things I didn't quite show you yet are the notifications and the reporting. So real quick, notifications are the complete notification system for Apptivo. By default, you're going to notice the newsfeed notification is subscribed for all these different events or things that can occur within this app. And all of it, everything goes to the newsfeed right now. But you can customize if you don't want to see some of these events pop up in the newsfeed, then you can remove them right here. But you also have the ability to subscribe to these events via email. So let's say I want to know whenever a brand new customer is being created instantly via email. When I check this box, that means Apptivo is going to notify me automatically whenever a new customer is created, regardless of who it's assigned to or who it's created for, as long as I have permission to see that object in Apptivo. And since I'm a super user, of course, I'll be able to see everything. But this gives me the ability to actually get subscribed via email to every activity going on in my business, meaning whenever one of my employees does anything, if I wanted to, I could receive an email for it. It's that easy. So, beyond notifications, I wanted to show you reports. Now, by default, Apptivo gives you a couple different reports for each different app. So if I want to see a list of every opportunity for a specific customer, click that right there, real simple. And we also give you some sales pipeline reporting, things like that, or employee performance reporting, sales commission reporting, items like that. But you also have the ability to define your own reports. So let's say I wanted to go and do an advanced search, and I wanted to search for all of my residential customers. I could do this search, and it's going to return that one I created earlier. But right here, I actually have the ability to save this as a report. And what this is going to do is it's going to put a link into my reports folder. So anytime in the future, when I go look for this, I can say customers or just residential customers. And it's going to pop up for later. And I also have the ability to share this report with my colleagues if I leave this box checked. So what happens here is as soon as I save this, I can go to my reports window right here, and I'm going to see that report just popped up for me. For all of my other employees, they're going to see residential customers pop up right here. And what that just does is it gives me the ability to save it and run it at any time I want with the click of a button. So I click that and it brings up the report based on the current data in the system. So it just makes reporting very, very simple and makes it really easy to kind of get these special data sets you have during your day-to-day process. Just put them into the system and make it real simple and mindless and make it real quick and automated for you. Okay, so that's about it for today. Basically, we've covered all the general setup. We've gone through a tour of a specific app, kind of show you some of the main features of everything, and hopefully you've got the knowledge you need now to go ahead, get started, and start looking into these other apps and getting set up with them. So, I hope you enjoyed this, and please look for our YouTube channel for additional videos. Thanks. Bye.